What is going on? It's Devin here. Hope you guys enjoyed season 2 finale of Survivor Wisconsin Cabin Fever. It was a great showdown. The final four was an epic battle. Some fun things occurred, some fun challenges. We're gonna break down that last episode now here with a couple of finalists from the finale. Richie and myself, as always, for the podcast. So go watch that finale beforehand because we're gonna break it all down for you. Season 3 Survivor Wisconsin probably filming this summer. So if you're a new player and you're interested, reach out to us. But let's dive into this podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed episode 2. Here comes my co-host, Richie. What's going on, Richie? And my co-host, how was the finale for you, sir?
Loved the finale. It was a fun watch. Yeah, I think we should get going into it because, it's very fun to talk about.
So, go watch that beforehand. We're going to, a couple people that played in the finale, the Final Four, are joining me and Richie and myself tonight. So, let's admit them. It's going to be Dolphin, Sam, Emma, and Dacota. Dan, unfortunately, couldn't get a hold of, but Dan, you played excellent game, man. You might have won if you made that final two. I don't know. We'll find out after we discuss it with them. So let's admit Dolphin, Sam, Dacota, and Emma. All right, sweet. Well, thanks for you guys all joining us tonight. We couldn't get Danny. G didn't respond to the message, but appreciate you guys all joining. How'd you guys think of the finale went? Watching it back.
It was fun.
Always fun to watch it back and relive the pain.
It is weird to see like different conversations that you don't see. Anyone who's played knows just that, you think you know a lot and then you watch it and it's like, oh, I didn't even know that conversation happened.
So we'll kind of break down the episode a little bit too as we talk here. But so essentially we have the final four. You guys are all happy. Jasper is finally out of the game.
Dakota mostly.
Dakota mostly, yeah. So we kind of talked to this with Kyle and Matt previously. So what kind of was rubbing you guys the wrong way at Jasper? I know like he kind of was being a little bit cocky here and there, but he just kind of seemed like he couldn't be trusted, or what was kind of the reasoning if you guys all want to kind of join in together?
I think I'll start. I think he just rubbed me the wrong way when he just tried to take control. With, I don't know, maybe just like him being too confident and just like not wanting to be a part of like a tribe that we were on, but just the way he went about his game made me think that he like kept saying that, oh yeah, Dakota and Emma were really like close, but the way he talked to us, I never knew like what he was gonna do. It always seemed like he was about to like do something to fuck us over, but I don't know. He just played a weird game to me. I've never encountered anyone like that before when I played.
Yeah, Emma and Sam, you want to touch on Jasper at all? Just your thoughts.
I just think, the inexperience definitely showed. You just got to be personable. You got to be likable. And he was put in a tough spot with like being down in numbers right away, but just the way he handled it, it's just you alienate yourself. And even if he does make it to the final, I don't know how many votes he's getting. I don't even know. I don't think it matters who he goes against, to be honest with you.
Do you think he would have gotten like Arthur and Dan votes at all, or do you guys think that he doesn't even get either of their votes if Jasper's at the end? Because we were talking about that last week.
I just think Jasper, he like just the way he talked in like the jury round table. He just like I don't think he 100% gets it, and I don't know if I think whoever was up there could have talked them at the end and just gave a better case why they should have won.
Okay, do you think I could have out-talked them, though? Because everyone knows I talk
Richie, I think you can out-talk anyone.
Hey, Richie, this isn't about you. Come on.
Go ahead, Emma.
I was just going to say, I think the moment for me when I realized, like, I probably wasn't going to partner up with Jasper was when he kind of, like, held the advantage over Dakota and I during that one vote. He was, like, kind of, like, testing us and, like, oh, I'm kind of, like, running it here, and based off what goes on now, it's, like, what's going to happen? And I was like, yeah, I'm not really all for that, but all right. And so we ended up just kind of voting with what it was for that round with me and Dakota and him voting off Kyle. But after that, I was kind of like a little off put, I guess, by some of his actions that from that moment moving forward.
Also, too, he had no idea what was going on the entire time. I don't know how he didn't see like he was a target at all. Like he wasn't even nervous. I honestly wish the idols weren't played because he would have gone home anyways, and I think he would have been
more shocked.
I think he would have been like, I cannot believe that just happened.
Do you think he like partially thinks he got out because like Dakota and I played idols? Almost?
I think so. I don't think he fully realizes what happened. I still don't think he knows what happened in any of the votes that we did. For example, when we did when Arthur got voted out, he was shocked. Like, how do you not know? Like, you switched the vote. Like, yeah.
Rich, you wanna add in here about Jasper? I know me and you've been talking about him a lot throughout the other podcasts.
Yeah, I mean, I do think some moves Jasper made were good, I guess, in terms of keeping himself alive round to round. But longevity, I don't think. And it's just because I don't want to like shit on him because I feel like an asshole doing it. But like, I don't think he was that good of a player. Like, I think he definitely makes a lot of even those moves that do help him also hurt him. It's like going one step forward and two steps back with them. And while I do think if he ever comes back to play again, I do think he would play better now that he would know like more of how the game works. And also, you know, it is a smaller season too, so that probably definitely had a bit of an impact on like finding his footing in the game. So it's like maybe if he came back in a different season with more people, he probably could fare a little bit better. But it's like with the reputation he's already put on himself this season, I can't say that I would believe he would get to merge any future time he plays unless he gets very lucky and that's what he did this season and goes on an immunity streak or some bullshit like that. So
yeah, I mean, I think too though at the same time with more people, it might be even more hard to get your footing down because there's more going on almost. But that's enough of Jasper. Just want your guys' thoughts because I know you guys were targeting him for a while. So essentially the episode kind of begins with the challenge of holding the chopsticks with the wiffle ball. It went 27 minutes. Emma, you kind of got out pretty quick. Sam, you lasted a long ass time, like 15 minutes, and then Dakota and Dan came down to the wire there, and ultimately Dakota, you dropped out. What did you think when you heard in the episode that Dan said he's a band teacher and he has to keep his hands steady all the time?
I mean, I thought right away he was going to get out, just how close he had like his hands. Yeah. Like he was so close touching that ball. I was like, oh, I got this. But then he like threw that out there and I was like, well, maybe he has it better than I do because my hands started shaking pretty bad in the beginning. And that's why my sticks went like that. And I was like, oh no, it's out early. But I'm surprised I held it out for 27 minutes.
Did that kind of annoy you, like all those people talking around you? I know like we cut the music a lot, but I didn't realize so many people were saying stuff to you guys, which was kind of annoying, but I guess it was the same way for Dan too.
I don't think I really noticed. Yeah. Because I saw like Christian was behind me and like at one point Jasper was behind me and yeah. I saw in the last episode and I was like, oh, I didn't even know that they were there. Like I was just so focused on trying to win this stupid challenge. So
yeah. Well then ultimately, I mean, nothing else really occurs. It just the plan seems like it's gonna be Emma or Dakota. Dakota kinda thinks it's Emma. Emma, Sam kinda agree on Dakota. So I mean you guys can kinda dive into that, Sam and Emma. I know you three were really close from the beginning. And ultimately you guys chose to take Dakota out. I know in the episode you kind of addressed she's a big threat, think she could win it then. She's a good competitor. But ultimately was it just your two bond over Dakota that kind of got her out there? I mean,
I think that was part of it, but again, we as an alliance, we made it as far as we could. So we were as loyal. Eventually it was going to have to break. But also when you get to that point, someone has to go. And that's just the unfortunate part about the game. I don't know if Dakota saw it coming as much leading into it. She can talk on that, but I just think that was always like the roadmap that I guess I had in my head. I don't know what episode I said to Emma, like, I feel like we're a good final two. It was
pretty early.
It felt early on. It felt, we were kind of both under the radar. We weren't exactly, big threat. We were always two votes that were solid. And in a game, when you have 10 people, to have someone to trust, and obviously it doesn't work out sometimes, but in the history of Survivor, when you trust that way, most of those groups get there. But that's just how I felt about it. What'd you think, Emma?
I think for me, knowing you were like a super strategic player, Dakota, it was hard kind of picturing taking you to the end just because I was like, do I really want to be sitting next to Dakota when this vote's happening? Knowing especially who was on the jury with like Kyle, with Arthur, with Jasper too at that point. Like I was thinking already, like long term, I'm like, who's gonna maybe potentially vote for who? And I could see really strong cases built for you just with how you did performance and challenges early on, your strong strategic game early on, and the way you totally were discreet about your idols too. Like you played a very strategic game, and I would have been very uncomfy sitting next to you in the finals, that's for sure.
Appreciate it, taking it all I am gonna say I was very upset, obviously, getting voted out. Looking back at it, I don't know why I think that saying I'm a strong player is gonna get me further. Because I was like to Sam and Dan, I was like, yo, we're all pretty strong, let's go final 3. I don't know what my strategy was there, but I was kind of upset with Sam because like I didn't know him and Emma were closer than him and I were. Like I just feel like all 3 of us were on a very similar playing field, but like as alliances go. So when Sam was voting me out, I was like, never mind. I thought we were closer than that.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe kind of approaching it as more like, well, because at the end you do want to be loyal and stay with who you want then, but at the same time you want to go against someone you think you can beat. And I think maybe that played a part of it. But I'll be honest, Dakota, I feel like nothing would have changed their minds. I feel like they were set on this for a while, kind of. Mm-hmm. And Dan winning the challenge might have just kind of, if I'm reading it right, kind of just made a pretty obvious vote for you two. Go ahead, Richie.
Yeah, I was just going to ask Sam and Emma this, just because it was talked about voting Dakota for at least a couple rounds, I remember, before you guys actually did it. So say Dan gets voted off at Final 4, and then it's Final 3, Dakota's not immune. Is she still the odd one out? Do you guys still vote Dakota out then? Or is there a chance for her to persuade one of you two? Because it seems like Dakota never would have had a chance even if she made it past the Final 4 round. And I'm just curious if that's actually the case or if there actually was a chance for her to get in. You guys can go ahead.
I think the final 2 pack we made, I just don't think that was going to break. I just think we had to set our mind to it. It was something we talked about it a lot. We had gone back and forth with a lot of names, but it just at the end of the day, I don't think, again, it's a small number of people. It's really hard. With a big number of people, again, if Kyle plays his advantage, it's me or Emma, guaranteed. So anything can happen at any time. It's one of those things as Dakota, she played 2 idols. Nobody had done that. She had keeping that secret from pretty much everyone. It felt at the times as we didn't really have another choice. And unfortunately, when you get down to it, you got to make tough choices.
Yeah, so ultimately it's sad seeing Dakota go coming up short again, but again, I'm glad you played Dakota. You're always entertaining to have on, and you played your heart out. I mean, at the end of the day, you ran out of alliance numbers. I think Dan was kind of just going with whatever. I mean, this is just kind of a comment to Sam. I mean, I feel like everybody felt like they were really tight with him. Dakota, you said you thought you had a closer bond with Sam than Emma did. Dan mentions later on before the Final 3 challenge that he thinks him and Sam have a really tight relationship. And even Kyle, early on in the merge, was saying that he thinks Dakota and Sam are the top people to get out, but they're his closest allies. So that's credit to both you guys. I mean, if Kyle stayed around, he would have had to decide between Sam and Dakota. And I'll be honest, he says Sam, but I know how Kyle is. I feel like he would have went with Dakota, I'll be honest. So that might have been your saving grace if you had Kyle there at the Final 4 instead of Dan. But then Kyle might have won. Who knows?
The Arthur vote kind of shook things up. Because then the Dan's idol thing, that put another wrench into it where it's like, well, that didn't need to happen. Like, the idol could have been gone, and that didn't happen. So it was a whole thing. Honestly, if he plays that advantage, I don't even know where we go. Like, I remember when you guys said that, I was like, oh my God. And Dakota, she probably plays her idol. Maybe not. Dan definitely does. Would I have thought at the time, do I just drop a vote on Emma? Sorry, Emma. But just to save myself if we get to idols? I don't think I would have thought of that at the time.
Go ahead, Richie.
Yeah, I was going to ask this too, Sam, because I remember in the finale, there were a couple mentions of Dan, and there was really more so at the start, but a couple of votes of the Dan versus Arthur vote at the start of the merge, and you guys were talking a good chunk of time about that, and I thought it was brought up once towards the end. But if Arthur had to round that round, Dan goes first, like, what really happens after that point? Like, does it really change up your strategy to get to the end? Or is it more or less the same, just replace Arthur with Dan?
I don't know if Arthur just goes along with everything like Dan would have, because, again, for some reason, that vote resulted in Dan not trusting Kyle, even though I wrote his name down too. He didn't connect those dots because of a frowny face. It's little things like that can change the game. Yep. again, I had said this to Devin before. Jasper winning immunity was the best thing to happen to me because I didn't have to cross anybody at a bad time. It all kind of fell into place. Where if Jasper doesn't win, maybe we make, like, I've been voted out in situations where I probably should have gone after people sooner or made a move. I wasn't forced to. It never really came up where Jasper, if that first vote would sending him home would have been best. Maybe not. Would I have tried to make a move? Probably not, because you don't want to cross people and alienate yourself. But it was just put in, every like domino just fell into place. And with Arthur, I really like Arthur. I thought, like, watching him, I thought he was really smart. I think he kind of just was in a bad spot. Didn't exactly, again, if you're not really familiar with the game as much, the split vote, I don't know if you even think about that. I don't know if we saw, because if they can talk to this too, we saw Dan and Arthur as a duo, kind of, because they were kind of the only one left from that tribe, and then Jasper was just kind of the Lone Ranger, kind of doing what he did, and the vote went perfectly. I remember, like, Arthur going to Dacota, and I kind of like, what the fuck just happened? What? Like, what? What the heck? And I think if Arthur's in, it's pretty much the same strategy. I can't see a lot changing, to be honest with you. I don't know if Arthur wins immunities like Dan does. So that might throw a wrench into things.
He is good at weird stuff like that, so he might have. I don't know.
Maybe. So it's like that. I mean, that changes up everything. So it would probably been the same. Would it have worked out the same? I don't know. Maybe Kyle plays his advantage if Arthur stays in the game. There's so many things you could say that could have changed the game.
Yeah. So kind of moving along there then. So we had the final 3 challenge. You guys find out it's a final 2. Try to make it not obvious that it was going to be a final 2, but it was pretty clear. That wasn't the original plan. If we had more people playing, it wasn't going to be a final 2. But, I mean, with 10 people, you kind of have to. I mean, There's not really any other thing you can do about it. But it was a really fun challenge to watch. I mean, Sam and Dan got out to an early lead with the cardio part of it. But, Emma, you came from behind, won the puzzle, and that's why – I'll be honest, like, even when you were falling behind, I was back there with you watching. I was like, I don't know. I had a gut feeling you were going to win because I saw you in other portions of the season do really good in puzzles. Not to say Sam or Dan couldn't do it, but I was like, don't give Emma too much time. Puzzle Queen, I said that, and you won that. How the hell did that feel? I know you talked about in the episode, but watching it back, still, like, how you came from behind and got that, how'd that make you feel?
Honestly, even like rewatching it when we were watching just earlier today, I was just like, wow, what a great feeling. Like, it was like feeling like kind of defeated for that first half of the challenge, but then like showing up to that second half, and like I think like the whole part was I just like tried to remain calm. I didn't want to focus on what Dan or Sam was kind of doing both on each side of me. And once I kind of just like took a deep breath and like relaxed, like everything kind of just like slowly fell into place. And I didn't think I like, kind of tried to like make sure I wasn't like frazzled each time. Like it was kind of like wrong. Like when I was putting pieces in, I'm like, oh, that like one piece away or whatever. Like I was watching Dan, I think when we were watching the tape too, he would like flip his board over and completely start over. Like I did not think that was probably a great approach, just because it puts you at like such a like fresh beginning each time, every time you're like struggling with the puzzles. So altogether it was just like a surreal feeling just to have that like final like win with just being that far behind to start.
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, Emma. Just coming from someone who actually did this, almost the same exact challenge on Fans vs. Favorites back in Whitewater, almost same variation. I won the challenge, won the puzzle. Yeah, I just want to give you props because that is not an easy puzzle, and especially when you're in that final spot. I know Sam, I don't know why I called you Sam. Sam can vouch for me with this, and this puzzle is very hard. Devin can vouch for me. Dakota can vouch for me. It's a hard puzzle, and the fact that you overtook 2 people who are very good in challenges and just kick their ass in that puzzle portion was really impressive. So I just want to give you props for that.
Richie,
because
so relax. I'm just kidding.
Thanks, Richie.
It's a hard puzzle. Yeah, no problem. It's a fun challenge, so congrats.
Definitely.
Yeah, so then Emma gets ultimate decision to pick who she wants to bring to the final 2. She brings Sam. So I'm going to ask this question before I even dive into your reasoning and everything. So I kind of was wondering, like, okay, well, if Emma brought Dan, do you think she'd have a better shot to win? So my questions to Dakota and Sam: if Emma brings Dan, do you vote for Emma or Dan? I know obviously they could have persuaded you with their pitch, but I feel like some people kind of have their minds made up no matter what.
I would have voted for Emma.
What about you?
I don't know if she would have got everybody's votes. I don't know about Dakota, but Dan did win immunity, but I know the game. I've been watching it. It's not really all about immunities for me. And Dan was great, but I think Emma was more in control of what was going on, or part of who was all in control. And I think to vote me out there would have been ballsy. I think not a lot of people would have expected it. I think that would have kind of changed, and I hope that would have brought her like more respect for his move instead of like you're not loyal. But looking at the jury again, I think Arthur votes for Dan probably. I think Jasper probably votes for Dan, but I think Dakota, again, I don't know what Dakota would have done, but I think if Dakota would go Emma, I think Kyle would have been the
deciding vote. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think you would have done, Dakota? Honestly,
I think it would have been less close than it was between Sam and Emma. Well, I think reason I say that is just because, like Sam said, I talked about this before. Like Emma could have built her case about why she like backdoored Sam, and she could have like said like, "Oh yes, we were loyal. He helped me with this and all of this, but at the end of the day, like I'm here to win." Like I don't know. I would respect that more than I would respect. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I do feel like knowing Kyle pretty well, really good friends with him. I do feel like he would have voted for Emma. I mean, I'm not trying to speak for him, but I do feel like he would have voted for you over Dan personally. And again, Emma, I mean, again, like obviously Sam got all the votes when we took him to the end, but I know it looked like it was landslide, but like you played really good. Like, and I know like everyone's comparing, oh, first time he played before, but like you played really good. And I it kind of like bugged me that, and Sam kind of, said exactly what I was feeling, where I feel like a lot of these new players and stuff are really valuing how you competed in challenges, like even in the
Right.
individual part. Like, I'll be honest, I don't think that matters at all. Maybe like threat level when you're trying to vote somebody off, but like it's, to me, it's about getting people on your side to vote with you, being a social player. It's a social game first. Michael said it a million times in our list survivors, so that's why I think Emma would have beat Dan. I'm not saying Dan didn't have a social game, but like I don't really feel like he made any moves. I feel like he kind of just went along with what you guys are telling him.
I think like go ahead, Dakota. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's like differentiator is that people kept saying like Dan and I were together, but I never got the impact that Dan was like on my side. That's just like how his social game was. It wasn't like he was, I don't know, it just didn't seem like he was loyal to anyone or trying to like reach out to people. Like I would always have to go up to him and be like, hey, like what's up kind of thing. But versus Emma, she was bouncing around everywhere. So that's where it would differentiate.
For the Survivor fans who are watching, she kind of gave me like Amanda vibes a little bit. Is kind of what I got from this. That's a good thing, by the way. If you're wondering. Just knows she's never. Do you watch the show, Emma?
I've only seen like 3 seasons.
Okay, so you kind of understood, like you weren't like some people on this season. I won't name names, but you were aware of what was going on the entire time. There was never a moment where we were always kind of like this. Talking to you, I always felt we were on the same page. I never had to explain like something. Like you were always like, yep, we got it. And it just always felt like we knew exactly what was going on. And I think if you do play again, I don't know if you're going to, but if you do, I'm sure you'll be asked back. And when you do get asked back, I just think people are going to underestimate you. And I would not be surprised if you made it to the final again.
We're going to add Richie.
Yeah, I was gonna add on to what you were saying before, with challenges and stuff like that. Where even Dan's saying this, when I did the little confessional with him before the final 3 challenge, where Dan's saying that he's gonna base it off of the performance, and I don't think he ever said like if he meant like good performance or bad performance. But at the final 3, it's like, what the fuck are you doing with that? Like, I'm sorry, like if Dan meant, if it was like he was going to vote on who played poorly in the challenge, I would have looked at him and be like, bitch, what the fuck are you doing? Because you clearly aren't playing this game. Like, I don't know. And I think it's kind of that lack of context from Dan's game that really makes it hard to assess if he would have actually had a chance at winning at the end. Mainly because of the fact that we don't know if he was doing the thought process that Arthur and Jasper's and even Kyle W., who won one of his SMC seasons, were thinking about when they're all like, we're focusing on challenges. Who's going to be best at challenges? Who has the biceps that are bigger than everyone's tits? Like all that bullshit on the side. And like, to think of it like at the merge, like who's going to be worth at challenges as someone I can keep around wouldn't be a bad idea. It's never a bad idea to think of it like that. But it's like, again, it's that lack of context that really makes Dan's game hard to analyze for me right now. I want to say Dan could have possibly had a good chance of beating Emma or Sam. Does he? I don't think so, but I do think he has a decent chance at least getting 1 or 2 votes. But that I would assume Jasper would vote for Dan, but then again, it's Jasper. Who the fuck knows?
I think no matter what, Emma and I get either Emma or we both vote for each other, and I think we get Dakota's and Kyle's. I think that's how it just runs down. This is when you spend time with
Dakota
people.
versus Emma, though. Sorry, you can finish.
I honestly don't know what would happen. Again, so much would have had to change in the game. Like, who would they voted out? Would it have been us 3 in the final 3? It's really just, again, I go back to the swap. I got exiled. I got an advantage out of it. It's just luck. It's a lot of luck. And again, when you get swapped and you win challenge and you don't go, you get to work with, like, you get to be around other people. And it's like when you get to talk to a lot of people before the merge, you pretty much get to know everybody. It gives you an advantage, and you just get to know people. They trust you, and that just, again, it just helped my game more that I got to know more people. And Jasper, again, we talked right there, and we voted pretty much the same except for the Arthur vote, which, again, it didn't really matter at the end of the day. But yeah, it's just such a big deal to talk to people.
It is, and Emma said, in her pitch to win the game, that was a big point of what you want to do, and I think you did that very well. I think too as well, like you and Dakota both found 2 idols, which is really impressive. I know, again, there's lack of people playing, but it's still hard to find them. We do try to hide them pretty hard. And Emma, you found that one at the very end of the game where it was sitting there the whole merge. So I really want to give you credit for, I think the number one rule I always say watching the real show and ours, it's like, unless you absolutely have to tell somebody because you need to save them or something, or you're absolutely on the bottom, it's you and somebody else, don't tell anybody. Because look, even Dakota not really telling anybody either, it really shocked people, and you guys made Jasper trust you. Even though Jasper played that card in you guys where he was like, yeah, you guys got to vote my way or I'm going to know you guys turn on me. Even though like he got his way that round, that made Jasper believe that you 2 are with him. And you did vote with him 2 more rounds because you had to. But, well, you thought he was voting with you. But you guys both played really well, Dakota and Emma. I'm not trying to like shed the light away from Sam, but I feel like we know Sam played really well, and I feel like I want you guys to know that you guys did play really well too, Emma and Dakota. And again, I know Dakota, you played a lot of times. Sam, you played a decent amount of times. Emma was your first time, but we're trying to get some new faces in Survivor Wisconsin. But I would love to have you guys all back at a later date and down the road, couple of seasons break for sure. But yeah, Richie.
Yeah, no, I just want to say, I know I told Sam this the night of, but I wasn't 100% sure. Now I think I am 100% sure that Sam actually did play the first perfect game and our stuff down here between Whitewater and Wisconsin. Something that I never even saw in SNC, where, for those of you watching who don't know what the perfect Survivor game is, essentially it means that you play the game without ever getting a vote casted against you before the final tribal council. And once you go to the final tribal, you get every single jury vote cast for you to win the game. And that's something that I think we saw Sam get. I don't remember there ever being one single vote casted for Sam to be voted out at all during the game. So, Sam, now I 100% can say congrats on playing the first perfect game that I've actually seen. And this one or our sister series of Whitewater and SNC. So congrats.
Thanks, buddy.
So I just want to ask this for all 3 of you. Dakota, I'll ask first. So obviously for Sam, it might be you winning the game or whatever, but what was you guys' like all favorite moment from playing this season? And might have changed after watching it back, but like at the end of the day, like it's a competition we want to win, but ultimately we want to have fun too. So like, what would you say was your favorite moment, each of you guys?
Does it have to be like in the season?
Yeah, I mean obviously the after it was fun, but yeah, I mean more in the game, I would say.
Oh, I was just gonna say like being able to talk to new people that haven't played before, and like I guess not usually being with people. I'm usually with people that have played a lot. Like my first season I ever played was a lot of like people that have played 2 or 3 times before. So just getting to know people that haven't played as much and seeing how their game went was really fun. Like watching how Emma played, it was probably the most entertaining because like we could have went in there and just been like we're sticking together the whole game, and we didn't, which is what I also wanted to do. But I think it was just fun to watch all of the people that were new bring their game and like how they were going to play Survivor, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, that was just fun.
How about you, Emma?
I'm one that enjoys when like chaos is kind of like thrown into like the ring. So I really liked the moment, and unfortunately, it affected Matt, and he got voted out. But like when we were all supposed to be voting for Jasper, and he just whiffs out his
That's a
idol,
shame.
and
That's really
our
too bad
face,
that happened.
yeah, our faces were just like all shocked, and Dakota and I both were just a little on edge, a little uneasy. Didn't know if we could trust that Jasper had written down Matt's name or not, and so we used our idols. Whether or not it was a great idea or not, that's up for debate. Probably still not, but I just thought it was fun because those are just like moments where you don't expect things to kind of go as planned, and so it just kind of stirs the pot a little bit and mixes up the game like more than you would expect.
How about you, Sam?
Honestly, like I was thinking about this, that first challenge that we won, that was a lot of fun. That was a good one to win. And just like, Matt almost screwing it up, just having to run there and the puzzle, and just, again, everyone, that feeling of not having to go to tribal first is a great feeling. And if we would have went there, again, I didn't go to tribal before the merge.
Yeah.
That changes the entire game. Like that gives you again, in Legends, I couldn't stay away from tribal. And if we win one of those challenges, who knows? And then I get to the merge, who the hell knows what happens? Like anything can happen. And I just think that was a lot of fun. I thought just as a tribe, just the beginning, we had a really good vibes. It was fun. And for most of the game, we stuck it through. But that I actually want to ask Dakota and Emma, if we were to go on to tribal, did you ever think about like who would it have been?
I don't think I did. I wouldn't even know.
Okay.
Because we just
honestly don't think I did either.
Okay. I would have liked to think I could have convinced you to do Matt, but yeah.
I mean, you probably could have, because at that point, I probably still thought he was going to come for me for what happened in the season prior. So like I
before the first challenge, he told me like if we lose, we'll vote Dakota.
Yeah, he was totally against me. Like he even said I'm up for blood to me. So like you could have got me to vote for him right then and there.
Right.
Like,
I think Kyle would have totally been down because I think Kyle just trusted me more than Matt right away. We know each other. I think Emma would have been on board. So that would have been just.
I was going to ask you, Sam, you even touched the puzzle the first challenge.
Right. Well, I wasn't exactly focused on the puzzle.
Yeah, it's so much.
Did you guys notice that at all?
In the watching it back, it was so obvious. Just in
right. I know. I was like looking at him like, I can't believe, like doing it. I was like, there's no way they didn't notice.
I'm surprised our bag throwers didn't notice. Like they were the ones watching the table, and like the whole
Matt not noticing doesn't shock me. In this, but again, I was looking for it, and like I even said, like I even made it up that I was at tribal. It's just from watching the show. I watched pretty much every season. It's just an awareness thing that I guess I have an advantage just because I can probably guess certain things, especially with only 10 people.
Did you think, Dakota, that we were going to do that? Because in the season before, we did that, and Dakota actually found exactly what you found, Sam, and found it as well. But she was the same way as you did. They didn't go to tribal, so she couldn't find it. She couldn't get it into the voting box. But did you think about that at all, Dakota, or you just weren't even thinking about it?
When he like brought it up, I was like, oh shit, it was probably at the first challenge, just like last time, and I didn't think to look for it at all. Like I just didn't think back that one.
What if somebody would have just flipped over the voting box just randomly?
It would have been funny. I mean, anybody could have got it then.
Yeah, that would have been funny. Richie, take notes.
Oh, notes taken. I actually do have a question about what you guys were just saying with the whole Matt thing, the first tribal. So I know you guys were just saying that you would have wanted to have gone for Matt, but Sam, wouldn't that have put you in a really bad position? Because it doesn't look like early on Emma and Dakota would have broken up. I feel like Kyle would have gotten dragged along with Dakota just because Dakota and Kyle have a very strong relationship outside the game. So don't you think that would have been really bad if you did have to go to one of the first tribals? Because then it leaves you in a position where you're exposed.
Possibly, but at that point with 5 people, it's such a like just stay alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
And it's
I do actually.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say I would hope Kyle would have been on my side, but at that point it would have been such a. I would hope we would have kept winning, but it's again, who knows? Like it's such. Oh, yeah. And again, the tribe swap. I got exiled. It was you're saved. Like that's such a big deal that you don't have to even. Like you're guaranteed to get in the next part of the game. Like it's and then I just got put on teams where we won challenges, and it's just a lot of the winners look at a lot of history of Survivor. A lot of them don't go to tribal that early. Like, it's just a thing, and they lay low, and again, with 10 people, it's hard to lay low, but it just happened to work out that way.
Okay, and I do have one more question for Sam, Emma, and Dakota. And just something that I asked Kyle and Matt, it was actually based off of stuff that me and Matt talked about weeks ago. And Devin's already knowing where I'm going with this. So say I'm on your guys' tribe and I'm not on my tribe. Say I'm on your guys' tribe. Am I still the first one out of the game if we go to tribal first? Or do I actually have some semblance of a chance on that tribe?
Who would you be
I'll let you
replacing?
guys take that one.
I think maybe for me personally, you would have had to show some form of like true alliance, honestly, Richie, knowing how much, like hearing how much you've played in previous seasons, I probably would have been a little bit on edge and been like, I don't know really if I can trust like this guy and everything with how he's like played in the past. I don't really know too much about his game. So I think you would have had to come pretty vulnerable and pretty open to like kind of following with whatever like the majority wanted to do then at that point. Even to maybe give you a kind of stick out.
Yeah, so like if I would have aligned, because if I was on your guys' tribe, my plan would have been to align immediately with Dakota and Sam and Kyle Shield, hopefully, depending on who I'd be replacing in the situation. So like, do you think I would have been like in it then, or am I still kind of screwed?
If Matt's on our tribe, I think
Matt or Kyle, regardless of who
I think if it's Kyle, I think you probably get the first boot, but I think it's Matt. There's a chance we go Matt.
All right, because my plan was to go for Matt first anyways this season, so.
But honestly, again, it's such an in the game. It's like, armchair quarterback.
Yeah.
Who knows what would have happened? It's so.
No, I was curious because like Kyle and Matt both said that I probably would have been the first one out, regardless of who I would have replaced, and that. I mean, we were talking about how people think I would have had no shot whatsoever in this season from the start. So I was just actually curious about that. It's just kind of the end of the storyline for this particular question. So.
Sure.
I think too, Richie. I think maybe if you were in that tribe and they won all those challenges, maybe you wouldn't have to go to tribal and then
there
a
you
swap.
It
then
would have been like
changed.
Fans versus Favorites 2.0.
Right, and I mean, look how far you and Corey both made it. You and Corey didn't have to go to tribal much. But the last thing I want to add,
wouldn't have voted me out.
I just wanted Emma to kind of maybe give a little pep talk, whatever, for these new people that like we try to get that are kind of scared to play or kind of like don't want to put themselves out there. I mean, what do you got to add to it? Because I mean, you almost won the game. You displayed excellence. So, what do you got? Anything to add to these people that are scared to play sometimes?
Yeah, I think honestly, if you get asked to play, like what's kind of holding you back from not, and what's like holding you back from saying yes and actually just jumping in. You get to meet new people. You get to hang out for the whole day. Play some games, talk a little strategy, which I think is fun. If you like playing games, this is basically just a live version of a game in that sense. So go for it. Like put yourself out there. Don't feel like it's like kind of daunting or anything. Yeah, I mean the initial like first 10 minutes when you walk into like the arena, I guess, or whatever is a little bit intimidating, but otherwise like start talking to people, get conversations rolling, and you don't know what's going to happen after that.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I think season 3 we're planning on getting mostly entire new cast is our plan right now for end of July for the viewers. But again, Richie, thanks for co-hosting this podcast with me during this like last month. It's been really fun. And Sam, congrats, man. You played damn excellent, dude. You played one of the best games I've seen. I know maybe people think you had a leg up on people, but at the end of the day, it comes down to luck a little bit, and you know what you were doing. And you never got talked. Your name wasn't talked, I don't even think one time, really at all. Nobody really brought it up. Emma never did. Dakota never really did. So credit to you. Emma, you played excellent first time playing. Played a really good social game, strategic game. And if you would have brought Dan, like I was telling you the other day when we were going out, I think you would have won. I really do. And Dakota, you just always fall short. And it's just, I just wish you got one other person on your side there. I think it would have been differently. But thank you guys for playing and joining us. And there'll be more Survivor stuff. We're not ending it. Don't worry. I know people want us to end it, but it's not over yet.
So losers.
Losers, right? All right, guys.
They're
thanks.
all losers and they suck.
Maybe Sam will help with production next time. You never know.
Oh, I like that. Thank you guys for joining us.
Maybe me and Sam will help with production. Yeah, go on.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Dakota, Emma, Sam, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you guys. See y'all soon. All right, so we just talked with 3 of the 4 finalists, Dakota, Emma, and Sam. Sam ultimately won the game 5-0 over Emma. It was a great finish. I know we said it was going to be predictable. It might have been a little bit. Dolphin Sam was running much of the game, but maybe you thought Emma was going to. Yeah, but maybe viewers thought Emma would take Dan over Sam, which I wanted to prove with her if she would have done that, she probably would have won, most likely. Not for sure, but most likely. So, anything else you want to add? We'll add a little more time to this podcast just to talk about the finale a little bit more and the end of the season here to wrap it up. So, Richie, tell us what you want to say.
Yeah, so I was gonna mention it before, but then I almost forgot because I didn't want to interrupt anyone, and that was forever ago. So, yeah, I was just gonna say favorite parts of the season for me, like obviously Redemption Island because it gave me an opportunity to bitch about everyone. That was my favorite part of the season, though. Just like me, like bitching about everyone. I didn't even remember I did that until the episode aired, and I'm like, yeah, I did that. Okay. And another favorite part of this season, I would say, was even though Kyle W was not the best player this season, it was really fun to see someone from SNC, especially considering the fact that like that was kind of like my thing up there. So it was so much fun to see someone, and in a sense, it was almost a mini version of something I would love to do, where it's like a season where like we get a bunch of SNC people in one tribe, a bunch of Whitewater people in one tribe, a bunch of former Wisconsin people in another tribe, and a fourth tribe of all newbies. Obviously, it would be fun to do. I don't know if it would ever work, but like I would love, like, you know, just seeing like all these like people who have played the game in different areas before. They may not know, like, hey, like this, it's been different up here than how you played it. I do think just that whole inclusion was so much fun. I know obviously some more SNC people were supposed to play before some unfortunate stuff came up. But I mean, who knows? There's always stuff going on. I definitely, this isn't the last season, so, you know, who knows what could happen. I mean, like, I would love to see people like Rich Rinka, Lizzie Heil, Grace Carlisle, Sierra Paul. Like, those four I would love to see come play down here. I think I've told you about Julie Gazowski, who told me before one of her seasons that she had a class in high school where she actually had to do the psychology class where they had to analyze like every season, every episode of Survivor up to that point, which was just,
that's cool.
I mean, it's epic. Like, exactly. It was so cool as she was telling me this. I was like, Julie, that's fucking awesome, you know? Like, I mean, obviously there's a lot more I could go on, but like, there's some people that definitely like, because SNC was a whole thing with like big personalities up there. Some of them were not the best players, and there were more personalities than players. And there were some people who were like, they were decent players around big personalities, and I feel like they would definitely, you know, like if they ever do come down here ever in the future, like I do think they would definitely benefit because it would showcase that like, hey, they're just as good, you know, with the big personalities, they're just as good with the quiet personalities, you know. But I do think just having that inclusion of multiple people from SNC who had never played Wisconsin before, people from Whitewater who had never played Wisconsin before, people from Whitewater who have played Wisconsin before, people from Wisconsin who played Wisconsin before, i.e. like Matt, you know, and having all these newbies all at the same time was just, it was really fun just kind of watching them analyze the game because it's a new game for everyone at this point. So it was just really epic to watch. And that was just something I loved about the season, seeing just everyone kind of combine in all their experiences. So it was such a fun time.
Yeah. So I mean, I think sitting there and recording and helping with everything, it might have seemed a little bit more boring when I was there, but watching it back and stuff, a lot more happened that I didn't know about, which was fun to watch while editing it. It was a lot of hours, so I hope you guys appreciate these episodes. But I mean, yeah, there's a couple newbies. I mean, all the newbies that played, do you think you would like to see back? I mean, it's not like none of them were that bad that we want to add back. So, I mean, there's definitely potential. So.
Yeah, all of the pure newbies, and I consider the pure newbies like people who had never played before in any whatsoever, i.e. Dan, Jasper, and Emma. Like Wisconsin 1, you can make really interesting arguments versus Wisconsin 2. Like Wisconsin 1, you can say like there's some people who we would all want to see back because we think their potential, and there are other people who we would all think like no, and then we could all like go back and forth on it. But Wisconsin 2, I think it's pretty easily like a lot of us loved the three newbies we got. Like Emma is like this come from behind, quieter, like at least quieter compared to other personalities in the season. And she still plays really good to the point where she gets so much respect for her social strategic game. You have Dan coming from behind with all the challenge wins and, you know, him control. I mean, I do give Kyle W. second vote off. I give the credit to that to Dan. Like, if he was the one who swung Kyle Shield over to it. And I mean, the fact that it showed Dan does have potential and he can get his way if he really wants. on a returning season, I do feel like Dan is the more likely one to get further in the game, just because he technically makes it far, but he gets voted out. But he also shows that like he's a good player. He can blend in when he needs to keep his mouth shut. Jasper, I would love to see back. Like he's like an agent of chaos almost. But the thing is that it's like I said before, does he make it far in a future season? I don't know. Maybe it's kind of like Colby and Jerry Mancy, where one season they go really far, and next season they like one of the first few out. Then the next season to come back, they go really far again. Yeah. Like who knows? Like, I mean, Jasper is I would love to see Jasper back again, but it's like kind of what we were saying before. Like, would Jasper actually make it far? If he's the only returning from season 2 of Wisconsin, maybe, because then he can maybe kind of flat out tell people who haven't seen it before, make it look like he's not who he is. But if he's against people who know him, he might be fun. But same thing with Emma. Like, people who know her well enough could be like, hey, like, Emma, we know you're smarter than you want us to think you are. Yeah, and Emma could very well make it to the end. But, you know, who knows? You know, like, I think all three of them would just be so much fun to watch play again. So they were fun. Like, we had I think really great cast this season, so it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think
even though the best player was clearly out first.
Right. Yeah, I forgot about that. So from one, I mean, yeah, like some of the newbies, like I'm not sure if we'll see Adam C or Vanessa. I mean, I know they might be interested in it, but I don't really know them too well. So maybe we'll see them again. We saw Matt already come back. Obviously didn't last very long. Unfortunate because he didn't really get a fair shot at. He did have a chance to come back in Redemption though. So
yeah, I would love to see Matt play one more time at least, because I do feel like, I mean, I feel like in Wisconsin 1, he kind of gets screwed by the double tribal. Like, if it's not for it happening right after they voted me out, I do think Matt could form better bonds with people, could mend broken fences with people, and, you know, probably could last a little bit longer into the game. And this season, it's just kind of like the same for a lot of people. I think he just gets screwed by a small cast, and I would honestly like to see him play at least one more time. Maybe not with me. Maybe not with me, but, like, I would like to see him play at least one more time so he can actually get, like, a good shot. And not that he hasn't gotten a good shot in the game. He has gotten a good shot both times. But, like, at least to see him play one more time, seeing if he can finally make it work. I'd love to see Jacob play. Jacob is one of the people I would love to see back the most. Vanessa, I know I can talk a little bit about Vanessa just because I talked to her. I mean, I know for a while, right after Wisconsin 1, me and her talked a lot about it, where Vanessa honestly kept saying, like, if she comes back to play again, she wants to play a lot, I don't want to say a lot more aggressively, but, like, she definitely wants to play a lot harder than, and I think it's kind of what I was saying before with Jasper, that now that if she and Jasper ever come back in the future, now that they're footing in the game, they know what the game is, they know what they have to do, maybe they can just go out and actually do it rather than question, like, is this the right time? Like, and with Vanessa, too, she has experience playing with Brienne and Michael, two of the bigger name players. Michael, who always ends up controlling the pre-merge somehow. Brienne is always an accredited player for all of her seasons. So, I mean, Jasper does have good experience playing with people like Kyle and Dolphin Sam, people like Dacota as well, you know, although Vanessa also has Dacota experience. But, you know, who knows? Like, I mean, I personally would love to see a season with Jacob, Vanessa, or even a season with Jacob and Jasper, though. Sorry, I just want to say that last part. Jacob and Jasper would just make a very entertaining, like, season together.
That would be. I would love to see my boy Connor back, too. He was playing.
I'd be interested in that, too.
He was playing really good in Season 1, and he got kind of screwed by the Combined Tribe, and he was kind of dominating in some of those team challenges. So I think he got a fair shot, but he got screwed by that joint tribal because he was showing he was a big threat, which was...
Oh, he definitely was, yeah. I think if Connor comes back in the game, I do feel like he kind of gives me, like, Colin vibes. I think Connor could actually win if he gets back in the game, which I don't want to put a target on his back by saying that, but, like, I do think he could actually, like, win the game, you know, just because of the fact that he was someone who was out semi-early the first time he played, just coming back in. He's not going to be a big threat. He's going to be helpful at challenges, you know, which could appease Season 2 returnees, because why the fuck not? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I think Season 3, we're hoping to get majority, like, completely people that have never played in any Survivor that we've ever done. So if there's people that are watching this, have been watching this season due to whoever you know, or you just found it, please comment on these videos. Reach out on the Instagram, idol.identifiers. We're looking for new people all the time. We have an idea of some new people we want to ask for Season 3, but there are people out there that I don't know about that I would love to see play. We usually do it in Waukesha County area in Wisconsin, so that's towards Milwaukee area. But yeah, I mean, the future of Survivor Wisconsin, we don't know how long it's going to last. I don't have a timetable on this. When we did Survivor Whitewater, I kind of had a timetable because we were in college. I wanted to end it as we're kind of graduating. We did that. Survivor Wisconsin's kind of people now that there's people that are still out that are in college or didn't do college that play, but now it's just kind of a free for all. Like, I mean, we typically get people around our age, early 20s, but I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll get some older folks. Maybe we'll get some parents. I don't know what the hell the future holds. But yeah, I mean, Richie, you kind of talked about maybe doing a season of like Survivor SNC, Survivor Whitewater, Survivor Wisconsin.
Yeah.
That'd be a really fun idea.
I would love that.
That'd be a really cool idea. What are a couple other ideas you would love to see, just shortly and briefly? Just you would like to see down the road, because I know you've planned a lot that you would like to see potentially.
Yeah, there are a lot of season ideas I thought of that I know I talked to you about it, talked to Christian a bit about it. I think I've told some of these ideas to Hunter too. One of these ideas was the one we recently came up with a couple weeks ago, i.e. Calm versus Chaos. Essentially, like one tribe of all, like it'd be an all returning season, like 10 people who have a reputation from SNC, Wisconsin, or Whitewater of being like the quiet, follow the leader type player. 10 people who are seen as very like chaotic, chaos starters, gonna say and do whatever it gets, no matter how it makes them look. Like, 10 people versus the other 10. I mean, numbers not cemented in stone, but like, I think that'd be very interesting to see if someone who was seen as a follower before could actually take the reins in that tribe and be the leader of the Lemmings and just kind of like go forward from that and change their reputation, or see if a chaotic person can kind of hone down their chaos, kind of like Tony Blacko's, like make their chaos work for them and make them seem like they're not like someone from not a mental hospital, it's probably a bad phrase. Someone from an insane asylum. I should have said that. I'm a moron.
Arkham.
Another one I would love to see. I know we talked about this. I think I told Christian. I want to say I told Christian and Hunter about this too. But essentially, an idea where it'd be a full newbie cast, except each and every person is a relative of a former player. So people like my brother and my cousin going up against Colin's girlfriend, or someone going up against like Matt's brother, if he has one. I don't know if he has a brother. Going against someone like Christian's sister, or going up against like another brother or two of yours. Because let's face it, you've had like multiple family members on, so you probably have like a little booklet of like people you want to have on. You're like, okay, we'll get my mom on next season. 2 seasons we'll get my uncle. Like, like I think a season where it's like all of that could be really fun, because you could possibly have people like, you could see like all these dynamics work out, whereas people like me and Adam or me and Matt could be seen as rivals, like our relatives or loved ones playing in a newbie season without us could be like best friends. They could be like best allies in like every season they play in. Or you could have people like Brienne and Michael come in who are like best friends in the game, but Brienne's sister comes in with like whoever Michael brings in, if this ever happens, like just spitballing hypothetical, like they could be like worst enemies in the game and could never want to play the game with each other. Like, I mean, I just kind of thinking of those dynamics would make it really unique. I mean, not to mention, I know this is probably like a weird one. I would love to also do I know it's probably never going to happen, like an all-winner season where we take winners from SNC, Whitewater, and Wisconsin and just pit them against each other, kind of like free-for-all, last like best one is like the best of the best. And I do think kind of like all the different approaches of how each and every person wins. Like, you have people like Ness, who played a very quiet, subdued game. People like Sam, who plays a dominant game. You have people like Rich from SNC, who won his season by playing a very good social, strategic game, and he manages the jury very well. You have people like Lizzie up there, who plays a dominant game, like gets very close to Lizzie to get the win in the end after dominating the game in a very similar way to Sam of this season. You have people from Whitewater like Cody and England, Brienne, like all of them. I think just seeing all these personalities from the different shows they come from, the different ways they win, different play styles, and seeing if they could win a second time would just be very unique, because we've never had anyone in any of our series win twice. Like, Sam's the first one. It took like 17 seasons overall for us to get a winner to play the perfect game in Sam. And so, it's only going to be a matter of time before someone wins twice. Who knows? That'd be very exciting to watch.
Maybe they'll be down the road. I know, though, I'm not sure a bunch of SNC people will make the jump because it's tough to get them. And as well with Whitewater, people from Whitewater, I think all those people's books have closed on playing Survivor. I mean, Legends was kind of the end for a lot of those people, which I'm glad because we do want to get new faces. So that is something we could dream of. I mean, did Survivor, the real show, ever think they're going to do a winter season? No, and it came in fruition down the road. So who knows? But yeah, I mean, I always love ideas for seasons and stuff. Me and Richie talk all the time about that. Maybe that puts a bigger target on Richie. Hopefully not, but
well, maybe like I'll just have my own season I host where I just put one of my ideas out there, like get it out there again. I mean, I probably would put it. Actually, I don't even think me hosting would put a big target on my back. Like me and Kyle were gonna go at each other regardless, but I don't think me hosting had that big of a reason. I think it was more of the very questionable puzzle that was put into the challenge.
Yeah, well. We didn't really do a player of the season or fan favorite like in season 1, so I don't think we'll be doing it for this time. But I mean, player of the season I think would have to be Dolphin Sam in my opinion. Still, he played the most dominant. Again, if you watch earlier in this podcast, I mean, I really want to give Emma her flowers because she did really good. It's just Sam just played really damn good, and it's hard to beat that.
Like I would agree.
So I mean, you could argue Emma's play was the second best game. She probably did. She just didn't. I think she just made one mistake, and I was bringing him instead of Dan. I really think she would have won. And then fan favorite, I mean, it's kind of a toss-up.
There's a lot of options.
There's a lot of options. Go ahead.
I mean, a part of me would want to lean Dacota just because I feel like she has she's someone who we get to kind of see a lot into her mindset. We get to see her be the more snarkier one of all the others, which is always fun to watch. And like gameplay-wise, I feel like it's like an improved gameplay for her. Because other seasons, we see her either get screwed very early on, or we see her just kind of not get respected at the end. But at the end of this season, she's clearly well respected. She has this whole redemption, almost like Jerry Mantha in Heroes vs. Villains. Like she kind of like does her game. Like it's really the best I think I've ever seen Dacota play. Not that she's played bad in other seasons. I still think she plays good in her other seasons. Just this is clearly like the best season I've seen her in, and that improved gameplay followed up by like personality, I think definitely helps her for fan favorites. So I mean, we could just solidify those two as our official player of the season, fan favorite, unless you have anything else to say.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably agree with that. I mean, she was. I feel like almost like kind of, I would say, when fan favorites, sometimes you almost pin them as a little bit of the main character of the season a little bit, and I think Dacota was because she did have the most experience. Well, Kyle did, but she did have one of the most experience.
So me and Kyle.
Yeah, you and Kyle had the most, but
technically, yeah. Kyle a little bit more than me, probably
but
by a couple rounds.
I get what you're saying. I do feel like some of the season was kind of told through Dakota's lens, except the part that probably cost her the game. And that was kind of ignoring how good Sam was playing and how good of relationships he was building with other people around her. But man, that was a great season. I mean, I think season 1 of Wisconsin was a little bit more competitive just because we had so many elite players from Whitewater. But it was great to see new faces. I don't agree with a lot of them how they play valuing challenges so much. But again, it's their game. It's whatever everyone wants to value themselves. But maybe that will help them going forward where they look at it differently.
Yeah. One last thing. Okay, one more thing I want to ask you. I know we were talking about before how you said you wanted to see people like Sam, Dacota, and Emma back in the game. Is there any other people who I don't want to say the elites, but kind of like the vets from Wisconsin 1 who already played in Whitewater but came back to play Wisconsin 1? Is there any one of those that you haven't already said that you'd want to see come back to play again?
Yeah, I mean, I think from season 1, I think I'd really like to see John play. I think that was the best he played. He really shocked me how good he played in there. I would argue, I mean, he was up there with some of the best players we've had in these 2 seasons. I mean, obviously, I would love to see Adam Frelka play again, but I'm not sure if he would play again. And then Darius, obviously, but he's retired officially.
Yeah.
So for sure, John, I would love to see play. Obviously, like I said, yeah, I mean, some of the newbies like Connor and Jacob I would like to see, and then maybe Bree, maybe Sam C again too as well.
Yeah, I'd love to see Idle Sam play one more time because I kind of feel like he got a raw deal after the merge. Like, I mean, and I still have to go rewatch most of Wisconsin 1. I'm actually probably going to start that later tonight, but Because I only saw a part of the premiere, and I was just like,
You're done with it, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I think I was in like such a bad mindset at the time still too that I was just like, I'm too tired. I need to go take a nap. And like, but I do feel like Idle Sam, just remembering what I saw, like, and I did a couple confessionals with him too that season,
Yeah.
middle of the season, where like he ultimately, I feel like, just kind of gets a raw deal, and I still don't really recognize why they thought that was a good move to keep Michael and Brienne, someone who are notorious for being able to play off of the bottom, keeping them longer than someone like Sam, who would be at the, and I love Idle Sam, but against people like Adam and Darius, I don't think he ever beats them. I think the respect that Adam and Darius would get from any jury would always win them the game over people like me, Ness, except for Ness versus Darius' case. But like most of the time, most cases, people like me, Idle Sam, Ness would never win against big players like Brienne, Michael, Darius, and Adam, just because 90% of the time, people like the four of them would have so much respect for the fact that they are seen as good players, and that's why we keep voting them out as fast as we can. We're like, we can't beat you, so get the fuck out of our way.
That's a really good point. I mean, I think you should go watch the episode. I actually remember exactly what the reasoning was. I think someone flipped or something. Where they kind of got Michael and got some people on the side that round.
Yeah.
But man, that was a fun season too.
I remember my phone kept fucking up that tribal, and I felt so bad.
Yeah, we had to re-record
it.
it.
My phone, that entire round was awful. I felt so bad.
Yeah, we had to re-record Sam
I still
getting
feel
out.
awful about that. I was such a dumbass that season.
But yeah, I mean, I think for sure I would really love to see John back. I would love to see Idle Sam back. I would love to see Connor and Jacob back. And maybe even Jaden. I think Jaden.
Yeah, I was about to say, Sorry, no, I was just going to quickly say that it might be a weird take, but I'd love to see Stibe and Jaden back. Like, I know Stibe may be a questionable thing to say, but it's like me and Stibe are really good friends, and I do feel bad that, like, he keeps getting fucked over. Like, he never survived a tribal, and it's always for some bullshit reason. Like, Winter War, and I can say Winter War because I was on the tribal. It was literally just because the majority alliance was all anti-me, but they didn't want to vote me off at the same time. They were pro and anti-me, and then that just left Stibe on the outs. And then Last Chance, I'm pretty sure it was just because he was the only one in his tribe, his swap tribe, who was not on a previous tribe with his other trimates.
They also thought he found an idol.
And I know Adam C. found an idol last season. And for some reason, they thought it was a bright idea to vote off Stibe. And I don't think I've ever got a chance to really speak about this. Some people know that my final 3 plan for Wisconsin 1 was going to be me going to the end with Stibe and Vanessa, with me more likely taking Vanessa to the end because I knew Stibe could probably have a good, like, comeback story plan for, like, if he got to the end. But I would have been, like, me, Stibe, Vanessa, at the end, all 3 of us. And then once I saw him get voted out first, I'm like, yeah, I'm fucked out. I'm fucked. I'm next. I'm like, I'm screwed. Pack my bags, get my shit out. But, like, was there an advantage in the first challenge? Wisconsin won, too?
Mm-hmm.
And Matt wouldn't let me play that challenge.
Yeah, so,
I mean,
as that one, too, I mean, it was like exactly how we did in this one, where you had to find a clue that told you where the next clue was, which was under the table again, and then the advantage was hidden under the voting blocks, like Season 2, but your tribe won the challenge, so it wouldn't have mattered. You wouldn't have been able to get it first.
I know, but, like, I didn't even get to, I would have loved to have at least gotten it, like, at least to see it, you know, like, I'm so mad I didn't get to see that challenge. I think I saw, like, a clip of that challenge. But, like, I'm so mad I never got to see it because I remember, like, it was me, Brienne, and Vanessa just sitting there with, like, 3 other people, and we're just kind of sitting there, and I'm just like, what the fuck are we supposed to do? This is boring. I want to go watch what they're doing. I want to play. I want to compete. Like, and then even the second challenge, I didn't get to compete in that because I'm like, I'll go to the back of the line, and hopefully we'll win, and I'll just keep myself off of everyone's eyesight and hope they just forget about me for the long run. But clearly that didn't work.
No, unfortunately not, but I think that's kind of going to wrap up here. That's really it for Survivor Wisconsin Season 2 Cabin Fever. That kind of served a little bit as a reunion. We got to talk to 3 of the top 4 players there. But yeah, it was a great season. It was fun to watch. Established some new elite players like Dolphin Sam and Emma, some great new newbies like Emma, Jasper, and Dan.
Although Arthur did have a good redemption arc this season.
Arthur did. He did play really well. He kind of got screwed off because Jasper voted for the wrong person.
Jasper.
But man, yes, the future is bright. I mean, we're going to keep this going for as long as we can. Season 3, we're probably going to be shooting at the end of July as our goal. So yeah, I mean, in the meantime, I know we weren't gonna really have anything out here on idle identifiers for a couple months, but watch old seasons. Watch this. Maybe you're a person that thinks about wanting to play the game, so watch these old seasons, see what it's all about, think about it, just play. It's fun. You're gonna get your money's worth, and you could win money at the end of it. And going from what Emma said earlier, I mean, just go out there and have fun. Don't go with an expectation because it's really fun and it is about meeting people as well. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, I was gonna say, coming from someone who's played this 6 times, I mean, like, growing up, I didn't feel like I had a lot of good friends. Like, I know making friends was definitely hard for me because I have autism, which a lot of people know about. But it's like, I mean, coming into this game, playing with people, and I always come out with at least one new friend, or I come out with a stronger bond with another friend of mine who I may have already known from before. And it is such a fun time. Like, if you guys ever want to play, like, just come, like, text us, hit us up, or, like, come, like, hit us up through the Idle Identifiers Instagram, or if you somehow manage to find my Instagram, which right now has a really weird ass picture of me with a lime on it, like, let us know if you want to play. Like, we'd love to have you on if you're wanting to compete. Like, it's so much fun. The challenges are fun. You know, only thing you need to bring is little cash, whatever you need, and some water. You know, it's very important. It's hydration. Emma said it herself.
Yeah, literally. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. Richie, I really appreciate you doing this podcast. And I just want to ask.
I love it. Hopefully, we keep doing it.
I was just going to ask now, so are we back for season 3?
Oh, we're definitely back for season 3. I'm down for season 3. Like, come on. It's going to be so much fun.
All right,
I'll probably pick a better outfit next time we do this stuff. So.
All right, we'll count on it. Richie and me will be doing the podcast for the season 3 season of Survivor Wisconsin. Thanks for watching, guys. Please give us a like on this video. Watch the finale. Give that a like. Subscribe to us so you don't miss out on what we're posting and future stuff that's going on. So thanks for watching.